Hello, gorgeous, gorgeous beings of light. This is Elmara. It's good to be with you. Coming to you from the spectacular Palm Beach on the Gold Coast of Australia. Unfortunately, this is as close as I can get to the beach in the car. And since I'm not very good at holding my camera steady, this will have to do. So we'll have to put up with people walking through the video and dogs and surfers and all sorts of good stuff. But what I wanted to do was also just quickly do a video of a huge miracle I remember just the other day. I had to go down to Brisbane, and I used to live in a gorgeous place up in Auchenflower opposite the cemetery there, and it was really where my spiritual clairaudience began to come in. I was living in this house and I was going to sleep and could hear all these children playing in my lounge room, and I'd wake up to hearing that, and I didn't know what it was. And I even had a girlfriend come over and sleep, and I said, "Did you hear all those kids last night?" And she goes, "No." I said, "Oh my God, I'm going crazy. My family's right." But shortly after that, somebody else, a guy called Ken Page, came to town, and some friends said, "You've got to come and see this guy." And I did go and see that guy, and he goes, No, you're just a gatekeeper. Everything's fine. Don't worry about it." Oh, what the hell does that mean? And he showed me how. He said, "They're just in your lounge room waiting for you to take them home." And that's how I learned to be a gatekeeper, and that's how I ended up taking lots and lots and lots of lost souls home. And remembering lots of miracles happened there. I saved a whole pile of trees that the council poisoned. I'll tell that miracle another day. But the one I really want to share with you, is that I remembered while I was up there, I went to check out the trees and say hello to them to see if they were still there or if they'd come back and chop them down 15 years later. But they hadn't, and they'd all grown big and strong again, all the ones I'd saved, so I was really happy about that. But as I was leaving, I remembered this other really huge miracle that happened. Now, at the time, I only worked 3 days a week in just a, award wage job. And the other 2 days a week, I hung out in the cemetery taking dead people home, because after a while, my lounge was just so full of people and so noisy that I asked them not to come to my house anymore, and that I would go to the cemeteries at midday on Tuesdays and Thursdays and take them home, because I work Monday, Wednesday, Friday. So that was really cool. And anyway, so the miracle I want to share with you is this. So one day, I get in my car as usual. I drove an old car, an old blue Honda Accord, I think it might have been, although I can't remember the make of it. It was definitely a Honda. Was really desperately in need of much mechanical work done on it, but I didn't have very much money, and so therefore I only fixed things when they completely broke down. So as a consequence of that, it used to blow all this blue smoke out the back of it, which I just simply called my spiritual haze. And I don't know how I drove around Brisbane for 2 years like that, and nobody ever picked me up for it. But this is a great story I want to tell you. So I get up on Saturday morning to go shopping down at Toowong, which is something I did every Saturday morning, and I was going to do, usually you would go down, and then turn left down the cemetery, turn left again, and then go through to Toowong, and just kind of go, whichever way I went, I had to go around the cemetery. But if I did a U-turn and went straight down, I'd have to make a right-hand turn where the road was really a bit dangerous. It came over a curve, and it was always really busy on Saturday morning. But I got in my car to leave to go to the shopping, and they said to me, "Do a U-turn and go straight down." I went, "What for?" I'm famous for that. If you've known me for many years, never listening to what I've been told. Do a U-turn and head, in the opposite direction to the way my car was pointing. I was like, "What for?" "No, do a U-turn and head, back down the road." And I went, "No, it'll be really busy on Friday, or, on a Saturday morning. I'll never make a right-hand turn onto that." Sometimes it was difficult to make a left-hand turn. What I have since learned in my wisdom, 20-odd years, 25 years later, is that if God tells me to go that way, then they will just part the traffic so that I can go. But I didn't know that back then because I was still learning. So anyway, in there, and bugger it, I'm going this way. So I head straight the way I normally would go, turn left down the side of the cemetery, get to the end of that road, which was called Mount Cootha Road or whatever, It was opposite the big cemetery there. Sorry, it was the cemetery was there, but it was also on the other side of it was the big botanical garden. So I hang a left, and oh, here comes a lovely old man with his beautiful big dog. So I hang a left, and then I get down to the end of the road to turn onto the Mount Cootha Road, and all of a sudden I see like 10 cop cars, 20 policemen. They've got all these cars off the side of the road doing all these inspections of these cars, and my heart started to race. I went, oh God, I'm sorry, please, can you just make my car invisible? I'm sorry I didn't listen. And I drove through that peace block with my heart pounding. Now, not only did I blow blue smoke out the back of my car, my tyres were as bald as a man's head, and I just drove through that, and I was looking in the rear vision mirror, and my heart was pounding, and I got to the roundabout, and nobody even looked up. Nobody, not one of those 20-odd policemen looked up and said, oh, let's go after her or whatever. And I just got to the police, and then I remember telling someone this story, and they went, well, how come? I said, I don't know, but I wasn't going to turn my car around and go, didn't you see me? You know, like... So that was one of my first experiences. I suppose I had many, but it's the first big one that was so huge. I remember it so still 25 years later, about living in the world and not of it. Now, if, you know, obviously my vibration and also the vibration of my crappy car was high enough that they didn't see me. They just did not. And I had, there wasn't just a little bit of blue smoke. There was, I used to call it my blue haze, because it smoked a lot, and but it was the only car I could afford at the time, and I was working for God, and God doesn't pay you, you know, so not when you're working in a cemetery, and dead people don't have much to give you either. So I just wanted to share that with you. I remembered that, and I just went, oh, it was such a blessing to be able to go back there and remember. The other big miracle was they chopped all the trees down, and I remember clearly getting one of the you know, going and standing on top of one of the trees after they poisoned them all and everything. When I got home from work, I went and stood on top of the tree and apologised to it and sent it all this love and said, I'm so sorry they did this to you. I tried so hard to stop them chopping the trees down. I'm really sorry this happened to you, crying my eyes out like a little 2-year-old. And 2 weeks later when I went back, well, I used to park my car there, or do a U-E there to park on my own lawn, because I lived right opposite that. Or right opposite where I got off the bus. And I remember just noticing that this tree that I'd stood on, the biggest tree that they'd cut down, which was massive, had a massive, stump on it, and that it was all shooting again. And I just went, oh my God, I can't believe that's happening. So I raced inside and raced back out to the trees. I apologised to all the other trees that I hadn't given love to all of them. And I sit there and sat tons of love to all of those trees and said, I'm sorry I didn't do this 2 weeks ago, thinking it still wouldn't work. But 2 weeks later after that again, so a month later, all of those trees had all reshot as well. And I was just so in awe that they'd poured all this horrible orange poison all over them to kill the roots, and yet the love that I sent to all these trees ago. And so that's why I went back. And then what happened was 12 months later, they came to cut down all the suckers. But when they came, they only came up to Cauldry Street, and they didn't come from my bit to the next little bit where I said I had to turn left and go down the thing. They never came there and chopped those trees down. They chopped all the others down, but they didn't chop that one down. Isn't that magnificent? And so anyway, all of those trees were still there, big and strong again after 15 years. They were all these big gum trees that all come back, which was just so exciting for me. And so my little house wasn't there anymore, but I was certainly, oh God, I hope this is not someone coming to... No, it looks all right. Lots of people are parking here now. So anyway, I better probably go. I didn't want to make this a long video. I wanted to let you know that I'd made it to Queensland. If this guy, I paid for a week to stay in Valor, which is out of Numbucca Heads, and the guy wrote back saying to me, oh, I'm hamstrung. And I went, what the hell does that mean? Isn't your hamstring in your leg? And he said, oh, you can't come. I can't take this booking or whatever. And I just said, well, I don't need you to do much. I need a roof over my head, which I'm happy to pay you for, and I'll probably stay for a month if that's okay, because I was contemplating waiting till the border was said to open on the 12th of the border was supposed to open on the 12th of July, so it must have been June that I was coming up. Anyway, he said that the next day I woke up, there was this Airbnb in Queensland in the Gold Coast, and it was only, $25 a night. So I booked and paid for a month, and that's where I've ended up in the hinterland of the Gold Coast, which was just extraordinary, and I'm still there. And I'm planning to move back down here to Palm Beach in the next week or whatever, but at the moment I'm just still there. So, and the key is that if he had not said no, because then the following day wrap and go, I'm ready to accept your booking now. Too late, mate. I'm blooming 300 kilometres away, and I've ended up in the Gold Coast, and I'm unlikely to come back. And then, of course, if you live in Australia, you'll know that shortly after that, Victoria had another outbreak, and now they closed Melbourne down, and Queensland has closed its borders to everyone except Victorian. So if he hadn't have said no, I wouldn't have ended up here. And so the moral of this story is to say to you, there is always, always a higher plan, even though it doesn't look like there's a higher plan. There is always a higher plan. And there's always miracles happening, and everything is always happening for you and not to you. And if you change your languaging from why is this happening to me to why is this happening for me, you will start to begin to see the miracles happen more and more. I also just wanted to say to you that soon after I got here, I met a couple of lovely people who told me about another lovely lady who teaches you to do e-courses, spiritual lady. I've taken her course, and very soon, very, very, very soon, I am going to have a whole pile of e-courses up. My first one's probably going to be called How to Connect to Your Infinite, Eternal, Rich, Abundant, Gorgeous, Sexy, Powerful, Beyond Measure Self and Your Higher Guidance in 28 days. So I'm hoping that that will be a benefit to some of you. And as you all know, I have 40 years of wonderful spiritual stuff stuck inside of me, and I'm going to start putting them all out there as e-courses, and I'm hoping that some of them will appear to you. I'm also thinking of doing a God Goddess club, so where we get together and meditate and do all sorts of groovy stuff as well. So stay tuned for all of that. My deepest love and richest blessings to you all. I'm probably going to have to find some nice lush green stuff, because this is not much fun at all until I get my house in front of the water. Running a video like this is not much fun at all. So, and I'm not even sure now, after coming down here and living up in the hills, I want to come here. So, well, just surrender it to God and see what pops up next. So anyway, gorgeous beings of light, I love you. It's lovely to communicate with you again. I trust you are all living your best life, and please remember to stay in the light no matter what's happening outside of you in this crazy world. All of this chaos that's happening is just happening to make you choose whether you're going to choose the light and live in the light, or whether you're going to choose all of the pain and suffering and crap. So that's my recommendation, is please stay in the light. Don't be distracted by the vaccine or by the virus or by anything or any of the crazy shit people are doing. Just stay connected to your soul. And if you find yourself getting angry, just turn the media off, turn your Facebook feed off, and return to your light. Alrighty, love, love, love. My deepest love and richest blessings to you all. Have a beautiful day, and bye for now.